Hi, Florette here, and thanks for joining me here on Ink on 3. We are going to have so much fun with the new Atelier Artist Grade Fusion ink along with the Big Bold Magnolia stamp. It's a really cool and easy technique. So as you can see, I've already stamped the Magnolia with the Maryland Red. Because the ink is water reactive, I can take a slightly dampened paintbrush and pull that color into the center and get a really beautiful soft pink. Then I'm going to take some bee sting yellow and I'm going to dip it in and then paint it on towards the bottom, clean my brush with some clean clear water and pull that color up to get a lighter tone from the base. And then we're keeping that beautiful pink, so now we're getting this variegation of colors going on and it's really pretty. I also made sure to leave my stamp in my Misty stamping positioning tool because we are going to restamp this later. It's kind of fun part of the technique. One of the things you want to remember when you're watercoloring any image is to make sure your brush is not overly damp, because when it's overly damp you will dilute your colors too much and then it also puts too much water on the paper and things are a little harder to work with. So that's one of a little tip that I always like to talk about, is having just a very slightly damp brush. Now you can see what's really cool is I can continue to add more and more layers to this. It's something that the ink allows us to do. And then we can get deeper tones and variegation of color, and you can layer light colors onto darker colors. So it's really a lot of fun. So I wanted to get a little more depth. So I decided to add a little more of the Maryland Red onto the lower sections. So now I have the light pink, I have the beautiful yellow tones, and I'm getting some deeper pinkish red tones to add to it. And I just think it's turning out so pretty. The other thing you always want to remember is if you're doing a watercoloring technique, make sure you're using a watercolor paper. It could be a mixed media paper, any kind of paper that's designed to take water. If you use cardstock and try to watercolor on it, you're going to have a little more trouble because the paper was not really designed to add water to. So if you're doing regular stamping, or if you're Copic coloring, or if you're watercoloring, make sure you use the paper that's designed for that technique. Paper that I'm using today is really great and it's one of my favorites. It's a mixed media paper, it's Strathmore, and I will put a link to it in the description. And what I like about it has a really smooth finish, and it also lends itself really well to stamping images. So you can really do almost any technique you want because it is a mixed media. Now you can see I'm now adding more bee sting yellow right over the reds and the light pinks, and it's showing up. Then I'm going to add a little goddess green to the leaves right over the yellow that I put down earlier. So here's where we're going to grab our Misty again and restamp over everything that we colored. Now the ink itself, the Atelier, is embossable, but because the Juicy ink is just so amazing at embossing, I decided just to put the clear embossing over it with the crystal clear ultra fine embossing powder. It just really goes well together and heat it up, and it just gives us a really smooth, pretty look. Now I wanted this to be really sparkly and glossy, so I decided to add some of the liquid pixie dust right over the top of everything, and you can really see how that glistens. I just dropped a little bit on my mat, painted right over it. The other thing you'll notice is the liquid pixie dust glides right over the top. It's not changing or messing up any of the watercoloring I just did. That is amazing. Look at that shimmer and look at the color. Everything is just popping. Here's a quick tip. If you get outside of your lines, grab a gel pen. This is a white gel pen. I scribbled a little on my hand to warm it up and just went around the edges. And you can see I die cut it with the coordinating dies. Now on to our background. I'm going to grab a little of the peacock blue and use a picket fence life-changing brush and blend a beautiful soft shade on the back of my card. I can just put a little on my mat, then pull it over, and then keep adding to it. So you can see there's so many fun things you can do with this one ink. The Atelier lends itself to so many fun different techniques. I thought it'd be fun to add a little texture to the card, so I grabbed a little burlap and used my hot glue gun to glue it down. I think it looks really cool to have all these different textures. It really gives a lot of dimension. I added a little foam tape to the back of my die cut colored flower, pop that on, and then I took a sentiment from a different stamp set, and I'll have the link to that one in the description as well. And I just cut a strip and put some foam tape on that, and I'm going to add that to the front of my card. I really wanted to keep this card simple, with the focal point being the beautiful watercoloring that we did on our magnolia. Then I was looking at it a little bit, and this is an A2 size card, and I thought I want to have a little more shimmer around the outside, so I trimmed that card front a little smaller than the A2 size card. I'm grabbing the liquid pixie dust again, and this time you can see I'm using a water brush pen, so you can put it in a water brush pen and keep it convenient. If you need a little more, sometimes I'll squeeze it out to the side because then I can have a little more control. But I love putting it in a water brush pen too, just to do some larger sections. And you can see that shimmer is awesome around the edges. I then decided to pop up the card front a little bit too with a little more foam tape. And we are almost done. Then I just took it and centered it on my card and patted it down, and it's looking really great. But then I think it's still missing one more thing, so I decided to grab a little bling. I found I had some pre-sticky little rhinestones, and I thought I would just place a few of them here and there around the card. And these are really great to use when you want to just add a little something else to your card. And you can see just by adding those little bits of shimmer or sparkle to the front, it kind of adds even just another dimension. Still clean and simple, but very fun and very pretty. I hope you enjoyed this quick and easy watercoloring technique with the Atelier Artist Grade Fusion inks, and I hope you'll hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. See you next time.